This is a quick video on how to show you data from another list onto your Nintex form just using a calculated value control to do some lookups. So what we start off with first is an employee types list where we have three fields. We have the employee type, the department, and also the remuneration range. Now, what we then have is we have another list called the employee forms, and this is where you build out your form and you can add whatever fields that you want. When you click on Index Forms, it's going to bring up the form designer, and you'll have something like this where I've kind of customized this a little bit with some extra fields. First, I've added a few labels here: employee type, department, and range. And the first one, the employee type, is a list lookup control, which can be found down here in the SharePoint group of controls. There's that list lookup. And we configure this to point back to that employee types list that has all those employee types, and we're pulling out the first column, which is our title column. Next, what we want to happen is once somebody selects one of those employee types, we want to have a couple of calculated value controls, which are found in the general section of our controls up here, and we configure each one to do a lookup. So we'll click on this little formula builder, and what you see is this formula that we've built up. First of all, you'll find there's a runtime functions tab, and you'll see there's a lookup function right there, which allows you to do a lookup on another SharePoint list or library. So here we are doing this lookup. Our first parameter is the name of the list we want to look up on, which is the employee types. We want to do our filtering on the title field, which is in our case our employee type that we've selected. And then what we want to do is we want to compare that employee type field with what we selected from our dropdown, and in our case we called our dropdown employee type. Now we're using another function here called parse lookup. That's because when you do a selection on a list lookup, you actually get a value that has the ID of the item, and then it'll have like a semicolon, hash, and then the actual value. So this parse lookup will actually just pull out the actual value, which in our case might be like development manager. And then the field that we want to get back after we've done our lookup is the department field. So that's for this calculated value control. If I jump to the second one, it's going to look very similar, but the only difference is that we're actually getting back the remuneration range. And you can see how this entire part looks exactly the same, except now we're getting back the remuneration range there. Now we'll do a quick preview of this to actually see how this works. So here's my form. You can see I have my labels here. The values haven't been calculated because nothing has been selected, but as soon as I select a receptionist, it's gone back to this employee types. There's my receptionist record. I have corporate as a department, and there's my remuneration range. And if I jump back to my form, you'll see that's exactly what it's done right there. I can do the same thing for a developer, and it automatically recalculates those whenever I make a different selection. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to pull that information out of another list based on selections that people have made on the form.